Hello and welcome to the ESL APAC Pro League, the first time ever that we have had 8 of the top teams from across the Asia Pacific region here in ESL Studios in Sydney, Australia. At the end, at that light of the tunnel, we're going to send 2 teams over to Dallas. We've got 2 qualified through to Sunday's finals, and gentlemen, we're going to qualify another 2 through today. It's Group A. Yesterday was interesting, but in the end, Ian, no real surprises.
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, no real surprises in the terms of who goes through, but huge surprise in that first map, Greyhound up against Boot. We knew Boot was in good form coming into this, but they had a stand-in, and no one really expected them to take it to Greyhound. Greyhound started very slow and lackluster, as Kev was saying, but as the day progressed, I think watching Tainted Minds deal with Boot quite easily gave that confidence to Greyhounds just to go out and just smash on and not worry too much about tactics and teamwork.
Yeah, it was actually a couple of interesting concepts throughout the day, a couple of interesting games, but in the end, the results were pretty stock standard. So let's go and take a look at how we got here and what this APAC Pro League is all about. We had 3 qualifiers, 1 in ANZ, 1 in China, and 1 in Southeast Asia. We qualified teams through from those 3 regions into our finals. You can see we brought 3 from Australia, New Zealand, 3 from the Chinese region, and 2 from Southeast Asia. So far, gents, we do know that we've qualified 2 Aussie teams through into Sunday's final, that being Greyhound Gaming and that being Tainted Minds, in a bit of a peculiar fashion, but we got there in the end. Today is a little bit of a different story, though. Only 1 Aussie team in this one, and I would suspect that we're going to be seeing MVP PK in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. MVP PK have come into this tournament with absolutely scintillating fashion and form as well. So they're the favourites to take out the group. I still believe they are a little bit better than Order, have been looking themselves a little bit lackluster coming into this. They've lost a few matches, but that could have also been the real jolt that they needed to wake up. Signature and SC Absolute going to be completing the group. Really, really keen to see how Signature do today. We've seen SC Absolute before in the past at LAN, but Signature is really that unknown quantity, and that's going to be our first matchup, I believe.
Yeah. In?
Well, I mean, yeah, Signature versus Order. It'll be a good start for Order, I guess, just getting that warm-up. But Signature, they're no slouches. They obviously qualified to get here and through Southeast Asia, so they'll be up there with the likes of Boot. Obviously, they've even beaten Boot, so that's something to consider as well. They got an upset win over them just the other day. So for me, I think Order, they obviously can't rest on anything. They need to come into this game and take it very seriously, because the last thing you would want if you're Order would be to lose this game, go into the lower bracket just like Greyhounds didn't have to fight your way through an entire long day. When you just see how easy it was for Tainted Minds, they won 3 maps and they were going home for a rest.
Yeah, that's the way that you want to progress, right? So we're talking about yesterday. Let's go and take a look at how we got to our 2 qualifiers through from Group B. Started off Mongols up against Tainted Minds at the start of the day. Upper bracket round 1 in this competition is always going to be a best of 1. TM picked that one up, went through to the upper bracket final. The second game in round 1 was Greyhound up against Boot. That came to 16-14 with Boot bringing it through. And gents, that was our surprise for the day, right?
Yeah, there were a couple of really big rounds in that game for Boot there, just even 1v2s left, right and center. I think Malta played very well, as he just comes up on the highlights in that first game, despite them losing. And I did put a bit of blame on Malta for that unnecessary second AWPing in that very last round, which ended up being the reason why they lost just that one round. But in the context of the game, there were a lot of mistakes before that. Obviously, Tommy with that nice clutch as well. So that's all you need as the underdog. A couple of nice little clutches to go your way in the crucial rounds, resetting the money, and you've got an opportunity to upset in a best of 1.
Kev, it felt like Greyhound started off just that little bit too slow. I think you were alluding to yesterday even that maybe they're just not even used to playing CSGO at 11 in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was about 10 in the morning when they first started up, so I don't blame them because they looked completely different to what we saw even just 3 or 4 days ago online. And we do talk about online and LAN being a different story, but that was just completely discombobulated, as Ian would use, one of his favorite words, from Greyhound. And we saw later on, it continued on with Mongols. When they versed Mongols, it was a triple overtime on Mirage, which took them ages to clean up. But from there on in, it was just clean sweep after clean sweep for Greyhound. So that everything finally clicked for them eventually. Obviously helped when Dick Stacey was able to put in great numbers throughout the rest of the day.
Yeah, certainly felt like they had warmed up. Tainted Minds, on the other hand, they started off hot from the beginning of the day, and they really continued through in that fashion. As you said, Ian, They got to go home early should they want to. They got to relax. They know now that they're through to Sunday and they can watch everyone else.
Yeah, Yam was dropping bombs on Keish against the Mongols, really dealt with them very easily, 16-6, and dropping like 130 ADR. And then they came into the game against Boot, and they went down 10-5 in the first half, and we thought, oh, here we go again, another upset from Boot. But obviously, Tainted Minds showing us some resilience finally and a bit of fortitude, and coming through in the end and winning convincingly after that deficit. So I think whatever it is that they were using yesterday, they need to bottle it.
Yeah.
And keep that for the remainder of the tournament.
It's funny because we kind of talk about how TM maybe, you know, they're sitting 3 and 4. They're fighting with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Maybe they struggle sometimes. Other times they don't. In reality, they've got a very experienced lineup, and there is zero reason why they could not be the top team in the region.
It's just a puzzle to everyone who watches why they don't come first. They have the lineup to come first. They just don't have that mental fortitude that we talk about. Yesterday they showed it, so it could be beginning for them. But, you know, their history against Order is actually really good. So if your Order comes through this Group A on top and ends up fighting against Tainted Minds, might not be the best case scenario for Order.
Well, that's a good point, right, Kev? Because yesterday, our expectations coming in that the upper bracket final would be Greyhound up against TM. And then we would get this, you know, Aussie v Aussie battle. We'd find out which of the teams was better on land on that day and whatnot. But we never saw that. And it kind of throws things into a bit of a surprising fashion, because now we still don't know where TM and Greyhound pair up at the moment on land, you know, coming here to our studios. And of course, now, who's going to end up potentially against MVP and who's going to end up against Order?
I think it was always going to be a case of, we'll have to see how MVP and Order play. You come into the first matchup, it sounds good going, oh, you know, you take first seed, you don't play an extra 2 maps, but there's always the worry in the back of your mind, or not really a worry in the back of mind. You're going to be versing a strong team regardless coming into the next part. First and second seed, I don't think there's really much difference in all honesty, right? We say, oh, you want to be avoiding MVP PK. Ian has said that Order of TM has a good record against Order, but I'd argue against that.
Okay.
So I feel like Order have got...
Why is that the case, Kev?
I mean, we look historically at results, for example. We look at the IM Katowice qualifiers. Tainted Minds had a 1 map advantage in a best of 5. And they lost. It was a 3-2 loss, right? But they lost 3-1. So Order was down at one moment, and Tainted Minds never showed the composure to come back. And it's just always, it seems like, okay, it was good Tainted Minds won yesterday, but there was never a moment where, oh, this is do or die situation. There was no pressure situations for them to really adapt to. And that is going to be the case of concern when it comes into tomorrow, right? How are Tainted Minds going to adapt to the pressure? That's always been the thing that's worried me.
Yeah, I guess there's always that conversation as well. You see a little bit of on social media, whether it's deserved or not. Some people say, why is it the Tainted Minds keep coming second? They're not winning, and what is that?
Just chokers, mentally choking. You know, there could be other reasons as well, like the fact that it is online, and there's that mentality of LAN being a more fair environment, or some people performing better on it. You know, just maybe protecting the ego just a little bit. But at the end of the day, this is no better opportunity to both prove everyone wrong and obviously represent Australia overseas. So
yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter what people say, does it?
No.
They can have whatever opinions they want. If you come on the day, you prove your point, you win your games, you qualify, it shuts the haters up, and that's all you have to really do.
That's the thing. No one really knows what happens in a game except the players. We can only speculate and go off what we see and historical data. So, you know, these guys might be like, oh, this happened, but they just don't tell anyone, and that's fine. It's their business. You don't want to air your dirty laundry, but just from the outsider looking in, that's how it's perceived.
I left my lucky shoes at home, and, you know, it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
I can't win without my lucky shoes. My dog ate them.
Or it's laundry day.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows? Who knows? So we've talked about Group B. We've talked about our 2 teams who've already made it through to Sunday. Let's go and start a conversation about Group A. This is our bracket. It's MVP PK up against SC Absolute, and Order up against Signature. As I said before, up at bracket round number 1, a best of 1s. And yesterday, we saw how important, or how, you know, a best one really can shake things up.
It really can. And I mean, in this group, it's quite possible for a best of 1 to just ruin everything for both MVP and Order. They could end up fighting each other in the loser bracket if they don't start well. MVP, they're a little bit synonymous as well for me when watching them qualify and whatnot. They don't really go into that top gear unless they need to. So there is the opportunity there for SC Absolute. You can't rule them out. But for me personally, I just look at SC Absolute and I just see Laz. I don't really see anybody else there. And for Order versus Signature, pretty much the same situation, but Signature, we've seen them online. I haven't seen them perform very well on LAN in quite a while. So Order, on the other hand, well, we've seen them go overseas. They won that tournament with Malta. I can't remember, was it WEG, I think it was?
WESG.
WESG.
Yeah.
So we can see there that they've got some pretty good results on LAN. So coming into this, I would put them as the favourite for maybe even this group, but MVP, they're one of those teams that will just coast along, and then next thing you know, they're winning.
Kev, we've spoken a lot about our two top-seeded teams in this group.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the two teams coming through in third and fourth seed, essentially? What do they have to do to get through potentially game number one here and do what Boot did yesterday? Is it possible? And if so, how do they do it?
I would give Signature more chances than SC Absolute. So SC Absolute, as Ian said, a lot of the times it does feel like the Laz show. He's the top-rated player in that team for a reason. He's the star Orber. He can take away the rounds. We've seen him being explosive, but he's got a good support network of players as well. It's the other players around him are really sharp. I remember just Bars coming out as well as Crows on train back last year, where we're just getting entries and we're just going, whoa, SC Absolute looking sharp. They're just lacking that little bit of extra experience in the mid round and the late round to really clutch out the rounds. So if they win everything in the early rounds against MVP PK, and then MVP don't know how to respond, we've seen them struggle before with the lead where they don't make the adaptations in time, then all of a sudden we might see one upset. And for Order versus Signature, if Order underestimates Signature,
they just don't care for adapting MVP. They're just all about the brute force. You know, you see Zephyr solo pushing down Banana on Inferno. It doesn't work, we'll just do it again. It doesn't work, oh, we'll just do it again. And sometimes they find themselves in overtime because of it. So yeah, definitely want to see them adapting. As you said with SC Absolute, I mean, let's not forget, recently they did go 14-16 against Fnatic. But, you know, Fnatic also one of those teams. Against the lower teams, they really just muck around.
Exactly.
And Fnatic still won that tournament as well.
Yeah, sometimes things aren't necessarily how they
look
appear.
at the full picture.
Yeah, exactly. So this weekend, it's a pretty big deal. It's the first ever APAC finals of the ESL Pro League. If teams wanted to qualify for finals before, they would have had to go to North America or to Europe and qualify through those Pro League divisions. So for the majority of the players here today, this is their very first opportunity to qualify. And what we're talking about is going to Dallas. Now, this is going to be a real cracker of a tournament, Ian. I know you would have loved to go to Dallas or to Pro League finals in general.
Anything in North America I would love to have gone to.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for these teams as well. May 18th to 20th, tickets are still available, particularly if you live... Mate, if I lived within like 500 kilometers there, I'd be there. Yeah, so it's a little bit far for me, but...
I don't know if I'd know about esports, but if I did, I'd be there.
It'll be good. It'll be good. And we've locked in one Australian team.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. So for me, on a personal biased, you know,
nationalistic.
Yeah, there we go. I'm happy about that.
I was about to say, have we locked in an Australian team yet? I don't think we have necessarily, because if we see an upset in Group A...
that's true. That's very true. I'm kind of getting a little bit ahead, assuming that Order make it through, and that's
they're the favourites. Don't get me wrong.
That's not necessarily locked and loaded. We saw Boot yesterday. I'm getting a little bit ahead, but I still think it's going to happen.
Because you're Aussie biased.
It is. We're used to it by now.
I mean, as much as we can try to make a compelling case for the underdogs, there's a reason why the underdogs and why Order and MVP are the favourites to come out of the group as number 1 and 2. We can leave it as that. If Order make it out of the group, of course, one Australian team is confirmed. Just, I'm always a little bit safe, just making sure I don't count my chickens before they hatch. So
it's true. I prefer eggs anyway, to be perfectly honest, Karat. So we're talking about winning. Maybe you're not just good enough to come over here and have a shot to win your way through to Dallas, but you do have an opportunity to win with GameFlip. $10,000 on the line, gameflip.com/ESL. It's like skins. You can go in there, you can buy skins from different games. I think it's a digital marketplace. You can go in and buy things that are digital, not eggs. Can't buy eggs.
That makes me a little bit sad. It is morning, so eggs are generally very good for breakfast.
Yeah.
And
have
then
you not
later
had
on,
breakfast, Kev?
I did have breakfast.
Right.
But
did you go to GameFlip and did you enter the competition?
I did enter the competition, so I can't eat it necessarily, but hopefully when I go online and frag it up against Ian or I carry him to victory in Counter-Strike, then I'll be looking good while doing it. So
there you go. There you go. We'll have to see. I don't know about looking good, but
you'll have those dank skins.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. So we'll get there. We'll get there. Right, let's go and have a chat about our first matchup of the game. Of the day.
You're
we can
getting
do
there,
that as
Ben,
well.
slowly.
It's Group A, Order up against Signature Gaming. Kev, you spoke a little bit on this before. Talk to me about these two teams.
Yeah, so Order, one of the top 3 inside Australia. We would have said top 1 beforehand. They qualified for IM Katowice, EU Boot Camp, etc., etc. But when they came back, they did lose against Chiefs for the IMs, didn't qualify. That was a little bit of the dent in the unpenetrable armor, so to speak, of Order. And they went down to the lower bracket, still qualified, had to defeat Tainted Minds to get there. So this is where it goes back to that Order versus Tainted Mind matchup online, admittingly. This is land now, so if Order do make it through, that's a different story. Signature, they upset Boot Dreamscape. They were down, but they managed to do the reverse sweep, managed to come back, and this was on the back of a huge play coming out from Genius. A lot of these other players in Signature do have their brief moments of brilliance as well, so it'll be good to see what they can bring to the table. I was talking to Genius, I think yesterday, and he said they really, really wanted to come here to prove themselves, so this is their opportunity to do so.
Well, you've got a Rolex and cigarettes. If you can't win, you can at least trade
And
or
a
something and hope you can make your way through. So we're talking about these two teams. Let's go and take a look at Order, one of the top teams from the Aussie region.
My name's Jordan Badgick, also known as Hats, and I play for Order. Every player in our team is very important. Sicko and Liaz are in our star position roles. Chris, well, imagine being the in-game leader, also has a very important role in our team. We did make a roster change and bring in Ali, and obviously Ali and myself basically support and help everyone basically shine. So our biggest strengths, I think, our individual skills. We have a good sense of individually understanding how we should play, as well as Chris giving up a lot of space for us. He also calls in a way for us to excel as well. Our main goal, I think, well, for myself, but I'm sure for the others, is always trying to compete outside of Australia as much as possible, because it's actually very important, I think, for our region, is to get the experience and learning so much from versing other teams from other parts of the world. Obviously, another goal is getting first at this event. Yeah, it'll be a very big achievement. These sort of opportunities is what everyone wants. We want to be able to experience better players, better teams, better scenarios. That's how we improve. That's how we improve our scene. And yeah, I think it's a very, very good thing. I hope we get a clean run through the bracket and get into the semis, and have a little bit of a grinder out in the semi-final upper bracket, but eventually winning. I don't want to say I don't think we'll lose, but we're very confident. So especially it's LAN as well, so it's our environment. We're very experienced in LAN, so yeah.
Well, they're definitely one of the top teams in the region, Ian. For some people who may only casually follow Overwatch, the team of Order may look new, but they're obviously not new org. What's the background on these players?
Oh, well, these guys really come from all sorts of different teams, walks of life across Australia, really. I mean, we've got Hats, who's come from a lower tier team like Trident into Order. Then you've also got Liaz from Athletico, Imagine from Immunity, and Ali from Chiefs. And then, well, Sicko, well, who knows where he came from?
Sicko,
your favourite team.
He came from a lot of different teams from beforehand. Sicko's been playing for a very long time.
Been playing for a long time, but I was hoping you'd chip in with the old Avant
I
fanboy.
was about to say, he came from online and now he's here.
Yeah.
If we go back even further into...
Well, that's the thing when we talk about online. Australia is really big about this whole, are you a LANer or are you an onliner? And it's just because of that latency difference as well, because we're such a huge country.
It is. And how sometimes you might go months and months between seeing people, and people will come out of nowhere, right? And you've never seen them before and they're good, and all of a sudden, oh, they are actually good, or this guy's potato.
Yeah. I think the LAN thing is gone as well. Kids today, they're not nervous about anything. They throw them up on stage and they just own it. They just think they belong on there to begin with. So a lot of entitlement going around these days, I guess you could say. But for me, I just think looking at the roster of Signature, I think I don't think it's good enough to compete with Order on paper, but also I think it's not that bad on paper. You look at Genius, if he has a good day, Reality if he's AWPing everything out of sight. So look, I don't want to completely rule them out. It is best of one. It's exactly the same situation as Boot, in my opinion. They're coming into the tournament in pretty hot form, and if they hit their shots and they play like they do online, then they're in with a great chance.
Well, yesterday when we saw the Boot video, they seemed very, very confident. They seemed happy that, it was light, it was funny. And that's, for me, I think, is kind of what helped them progress through and, and push through in that first best of one. So let's go and see what Signature has in store for us.
Hello, my name is Phumpat Pujanat. I'm QQ from Signature. I'm representing Thailand. First, we have Cigarettes, who is our star player, and we have Genius, who is our entry fragger, and Rolex is our lurker, and Rarity is our upper, and our in-game leader as well. We have been together for 8 months, I think. We practice a lot and we keep finding a solution of our problem every time we play. We make some weird plays sometimes, like crazy play, individual plays, because we trust each other to make some weird play. I didn't expect to win both Dreamscape and qualify for the winner bracket, but I still feel like we have a good chance. I think it's a really good opportunity for us to play our first abroad land, to be able to compete with top teams in the world. I think if we perform very well against Order, we can beat them in best of one. The rest, I really don't know what's gonna happen. Try to do our best.
Well, I can't help but agree. If they do play their best, they definitely have a shot at taking down Order in a best of one. And as I was saying before, I thought, that boot video was all about fun and hype and happiness. These guys, they're serious. They are here to win. They want to prove themselves. They're abroad. It's what they want. This is what they work for, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been Thailand's best team for a very, very long time now. I'd say that whenever we talk about Thailand's best, these are the guys in the picture. But they're not content with just being Thailand's best. They want to be best in SEA, and that's why beating Boot Dreamscape, which we'd say the best team in that landscape, would be a big deal for them. Now coming in and testing their mettle against what they say is top-tier opposition in terms of the APAC region, it will be a good testing ground for them for them to really learn something.
It's interesting to hear that they didn't expect to beat Boot. And then they went into that game and, well, Boot tried to give it everything they could, but it was too little too late. It was actually very reminiscent of the Greyhounds game and that first BO1 where they just went in and underestimated Signature. So I think they definitely did deserve to beat Boot, and they deserve to be here. I think there's not a whole lot separating these two teams on the day if you talk about how, Order might be underestimating them. They might have a slow start. I think you're only as good as your opposition at sometimes as well. So if they don't test Order quickly, then Signature might fire up and get on top of them, and it'll be too hard for Order to get back into this.
Obviously, best of one means 6 maps that we won't see. Do we have any predictions on firstly, what map are definitely out, and at the end, what map do we think is going to be played here?
100% Cobblestone's out because Order, they're sick of that map. They lost against Chiefs, and you do not want to be playing Cobblestone against Signature.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see Cobblestone at all. And then I think Signature don't play Nuke at all either.
Okay, that's 2 out of 7. So maybe we'll just leave it at. Look, Kev, we'll leave it there.
It's going to be Mirage.
Apparently, the vetoes are ready, so let's go. Say it's Mirage. Let's see if we're right. We'll swing these ones up on the screen. No Cobble. You guys are right there. No Nuke. No Cache. No surprises, really. I think we'll continue moving these across and see what we're going to play. It's going to be Train.
Order vetoed Mirage.
Wow.
Probably because it's played so often in Southeast Asia. Train for Order.
Oh, this is such a good pick for Order at the moment because Order, they love Train as well. I haven't seen Signature on Train, but it just makes me scared because I don't think they're that strong on Train, in all honesty. And Cache being vetoed out, Order did their work.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, they can't come into this and underestimate them just like Greyhounds did. You can't give them a map where it's equal par as well. So I remember just looking at the stats for Signature, and Mirage was just way out here in terms of maps played. So anything like Overpass would have been good for Order, but whatever. That's fine. We'll go to Train, and like you're alluding to there, Kevin, Sicko on Train, Ali on Train, EMAG on Train, Liaz solo inside on Train. We know a lot about this Order
Why don't you
team.
just name all 5 players?
Well, because Hats is just very inconsistent on Train.
I was about to say for the vetoes as well, coming back to the current graphic at this stage, this is where the power of a very deep map pool comes into effect. Because you can see that normally you expect, oh, we'll ban a Cache and Mirage later on, or you'll wait for the teams to play chicken with Cache, Mirage, and Inferno is generally your last 3. But those options aren't there, and by the time a Signature is time to ban, it's Inferno or Train. And those are Order's best maps. So they've heavily lost inside this veto process. That might be in a little bit of inexperience or not used to what the opposing team is playing, and that makes me very, very scared for them as best of one now.
Just because of that map pool as well, though, Kevin. They can't really ever win a veto with that kind of map pool, especially in a best of one. Inferno or Train, well, obviously I feel like Order are happy with either. I'm not sure about Train, though, for Signature. It is a very heavy tactics map on the T side. It's a very CT-sided map. Maybe they think they can lean towards a strong CT side and get away with it. But
right, well, they're going to be starting on the T side, so that's less than ideal as well. What's the score going to be in?
I'm going to go with generous 16-6 for Order.
Kev?
About so-ish as well. I'm going to agree with Ian on this one. This should be a pretty clean shutout for Order. A couple of good individual rounds from Signature, but that'll be it from the T side.
All right, I'll go 16-5. Gentlemen, upstairs, we've got Judge and Brainstorm. It's going to head over to you, gentlemen. Who do we think is going to win this game? Are you all on the Order hype train as well?
I think we're going to be on the Order hype train. I was scared all through yesterday after the Boot and Greyhound match to follow anything Kevin said. But today he's sided with Ian, so I think I'm going to go the same way. How are you feeling, Tim?
I feel the same way, especially with this veto going the way it has. We see Order ending up on train. It's, as they were saying on the desk, it's a map that Order are very strong on. They have a lot of freedom in the way that their players can move. Sicko in particular always has highlights on train, has for months. So I think this one's a good map for Order, but they're also the favorites coming into this. So I'm thinking like, the 16-6, 16-7, somewhere around there for Order.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go as egregious as Ben has with the 16-5, giving that extra one over to Order in advance. I think I'm going to go around the 16-7. I think Signature, especially off of the back of what Boot were able to do with Greyhound yesterday, I want to believe in Signature. I think they can do this. I think they can really stick it to Order.
There's certainly a chance for them if they come out really hot. And like they were saying, they do sometimes go for these weird, as they said, weird plays, the individual plays, trying to make something work. And I think that's what's really going to have to work well for them here on train. As we look at the Betway odds, it looks like most people are siding with Order to take this one as well, but that's still reasonably close odds.
Still reasonably close. I think that's the perfect way to describe it. As Signature not too far off there. This will be the tale of train as we head into this map, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm expecting big things from Order from the start. I think we're going to see Order pull away immediately, and Signature will be fighting from the back foot the whole time.
I think you might be right there, but as we said during the pre-show, or as the desk said, Order will be starting off on that CT side, which is generally the preferred side on trains, so we'll see how they choose to attack this one. Sicko going for the CZ up front and a smoke. Hats with the smoke and a kit, so we'll have to keep an eye on that if the retake does come in, if Signature don't get shut out. For them, though, they've got 2 sets of utility, so a chance to get a bit of an execute going. And in the meantime, it looks like the B-bomb site will be the port of call for them quite quickly as well. And yeah, they're going straight down really fast. They haven't even thrown any of this utility yet. It's all for the post plant, and the first 2 kills have gone to Order.
Liaz and Hats will be the ones to pick those up. QQ will find Alistair for the first reply from Signature. We haven't seen the smokes be used yet. As you mentioned, Hats playing deep on that B, calls the rotation as soon as the players from Signature pop out. Genius moving onto the site. It will get tagged. Liaz playing deep at Con is going to find Genius. Cigarettes finally finishing off Hats, and he'll fall to Liaz also. QQ God, the last man remaining. That's a sharp tap as he moves onto the site. Bomb's been dropped. He's looking for frags here. He might find Sicko. Gets him down to 20 HP. Emag still on the site here also. He's picked up the kit from Hats. And Signature really hoping that QQ God can pull this one away. Sicko pops up. Not going to be found by QQ God yet. And with 45 seconds about to be on the clock, Molly out at the bottom here. There goes Sicko. QQ God pulling it out. Can he get one more for the 4K in this first round and the clutch?
Be looking for Emag now, but Emag's just playing down behind the bomb train, playing safe from upper and looking for QQ God coming in, but he might just work his way out here.
He certainly might. It's the pullback, and there it is. QQ God, an impressive start to train and put Signature in the lead, and I was wrong again.
Yeah, but that's that individual play that we were talking about in the pre-show. It's the whole team didn't manage to clutch that one out. It's all on QQ God going huge with the 4K. We were talking about the utility there, by the way. I'm pretty sure I saw a smoke sticking out of connector, but it was far too deep, and I think it just missed a little bit. But either way, it's still QQ God managing to find the 1v1s. Order give him just a little bit too much space, and he comes away with the 4 kill. That's the round that Signature needed, and now they're going to the anti-eco. 3 SMGs, 2 rifles. Pistols brought up from Order. Sicko just going for the deagle to save a bit of money, but Emag, picking out of Ivy, has been taken down.
He does a lot of damage though. Reality and QQ God tag. QQ God playing in main. Genius getting tagged with Reality down there at Ivy. QQ God not really making much ground here. He's got a little bit of damage off to Liaz. playing from the main. It's the stack for Signature towards Ivy, though. 3 members going to be coming and attacking from the back of the A site.
Liaz and Tico are both waiting for this. Liaz tries to get sneaky through the smoke with the Deagle spray. And he's got some fire coming through in return. All right, there's a spray coming through. That's Reality down. There's only 2 players here now, and they've got the smoke out. They're going to push, but Liaz is ready. Here comes Tico through the smoke as well. This might just work out for Order.
It might. Cigarettes gets a reply with that MAC-10. Liaz falling victim to it and some cash in hand. Cigarettes going to repush this as the smoke clears. But with the range and the Deagle, Sicko could be quite sharp with this one and take the win. Not going to happen. He misses the first shot and he pulls back. Cigarettes going to grab the AK, swaps it out, and we do get Rolex pushing on main. Alistair will fall to him, leaving us 2v2 here. Rolex and Cigarettes going to be playing back and looking for the A site through main. Hats upstairs in the showers. He'll be able to rotate down. Sicko playing from Con, going to look to defend this. He gets a tag out on Rolex, but he's tagged himself down to 8 HP. As Signature look to push on the site, Hats will finish Rolex. It's Cigarettes, 100 HP with Sicko and Hats.
10 seconds left. He's got a plant here in the 2 versus 1. Sicko's going to walk straight in and look for the kill, but he can't find it. That leaves it up to Hats. Although it's doable, Sicko's got the tag through. Hats has found the AK-47, full armor as well. This one's going to favor him now as he sneaks onto this bomb site. And Cigarettes really find the timing. He's found the spray and the headshot. Goodness me, that was a very close round indeed for Signature, but they do make it work. The Ivy presence was almost their undoing there as Liaz finds one through the smoke and then a second on the push, but fortunately for Signature, the rifles can clean up. That said, though, that was a very expensive round. They dropped one of the AK-47s, only saving one through, and while they will be able to buy another one up here, they've got 3 players and almost no money, so Order do great damage there, and that's going to potentially limit Signature going into this gun round. Now, though, for Order, just on the default pistols and the 2 P250s, and it's a fast A hit coming in from Signature.
It certainly is. Utility out. Great Molotov into Con. Genius getting damage done as well. QQ God picks up Sicko. Cigarettes and Genius working together to take down Hats and EMAG. Liaz will have the first response. QQ God will fall. Genius finds another, and that'll be Liaz down. We're left with Alistair, 1v4. And with his USP and the utility that's still remaining here on Signature, absolutely not going to happen with Genius spraying the smoke.
All right, then. Genius finds the quick headshot. Now, we'll go on to the buy round here for both teams. Order's going to fully invest in this one. Sicko can't quite afford an AWP, unfortunately, so he'll just have to rifle it up with the rest of his teammates. But Signature, they're going for a bit of a bonus round here. Their money, though, is still quite low, so if they lose this round, they won't be able to buy too well in the 5th round, unfortunately for them, due to how much damage they take in the anti-eco.
Especially looking at QQ God's money there, 2K was that MAC-10.
Yeah, he's going to need to get a lot of kills in that MAC-10 against the full buy. Might not be too easy, but it's Hats once again for Order, the solo player on the B bomb site. A spot of one, so he'll drop the smoke. He can call for a rotate over through connector as well. But in the meantime, look how far QQ God is out on A here. Walking in behind there, smokes, but Liaz is too sharp for that.
Liaz spraying it. He'll drop down from on top the carriage, and we'll pick up the first frag here in round number 4 as Order look to rotate to B.
They haven't called for the rotate yet, so it's all going to be on Hats here. The pressure coming in as they jump in. He only gets the one.
Genius picking up Hats on the response. That's a great trade there. And Order are going to play from the CT side of B to try and retake this site. Alistair finds Genius. Rolex with the straight trade, leaving us 3v2 on the retake. Rolex and Cigarettes. Rolex on site with Cigarettes playing up back in the holes.
Cigarettes has a Molotov though, and there's no smoke on the side of Order, so he can play the timer on this bomb, but now it's all up to him. He's found the first kill. There's the Molotov out, and it'll be going straight onto the bomb here. There it is, stopping the defuse, but will it? There is a kid actually, so Liaz can just stick it. There you go. He will go down, but EMAG picks up the kill either way. So
and
an
that's the
expensive round for
second
Order.
time this weekend we've seen someone able to stick that with the Molotov down on the bomb. Also, Order getting their first, and it's looking good now for them to make that a second. As you mentioned, it's not the best buy for Signature.
Well, I mean, they do get full rifles out, but again, they've invested nearly all of their money on 3 players. They do all get AK-47s out.
They got pretty close.
Mostly full util.
QQ God was the only one really lacking there. He only had 2 sets of util. It'll be the push from Order, stacking on A as they look to gain some ground and prevent Signature. So a little more aggressive than we've seen with Sicko playing on top of the trains here, rotating to the right-hand side.
This is this setup that Order are playing, though, is just to counter this smoke. Last round, we saw a player sneaking out behind that with the MAC-10. Liaz has just been spamming that smoke since it went down, and then Sicko goes up on top of the train just to make sure that nobody's pushing that. They're trying to prevent someone sneaking out onto A from Signature, like what happened last round, because they don't want to give up that territory for free. But for Signature this time, they are slowing down. And there's an entry hit. Good shot from Reality onto Sicko. Now the A side is vulnerable, and they're actually going to rotate back out here and get the bomb. Should still be A at the end of things, though, with players coming in through Ivy and around the top of SL. It's Genius to make the play behind this smoke at Ivy. Has Cigarettes with him as well. There's a smoke to allow themselves out. Liaz is ready for this one, but QQ God's hit another big headshot here. And now Ali, being shot from multiple angles, can't even win the fight in drop. It's a 2 versus 5 for Liaz and Hats.
They've got a kit in their pocket. Liaz holding onto that one, so we'll make sure we keep track of it at the back here. But with all 5 members of Signature still up, I think this is going to be the best plan for Order, is save these rifles. Liaz has the kit. They both have some armor as well, so they're going to be saving a fair bit coming through into the next round. Liaz going to look for some picks here. Does get a little bit of damage down to Cigarettes, but it'll be the push. Genius first, and he will get the kill. Hats the last man standing for Order as Signature look to move to getting a 4th round on the board. Hats will find Rolex in the final, but this round is all done and dusted. Signature taking it.
And hopefully for Hats, he can hold on to this AK here. There's a lot of players coming his way, so this might be a little bit difficult for him, as well as the flank coming in from Genius. Hats, they know exactly where it is, and they're determined to take this gun away. Could be a chance for some damage from him, but the flank is already here, and QQ God's going to be too sharp and hit the headshot. So a round, unfortunately, for Order that falls apart. Despite having 4 players on the bomb site, they give up a little bit too much territory to Signature. They're able to hit those first entry shots. Very sharp shots, it must be said, coming out of A main, flanking in through Ivy. Alistair in particular was getting shot at, I think, from back Ivy, and then had to fall into a SL to try and take that fight where he did lose it. So unfortunate that the Angels don't go the way of Order, but that's going to force them back onto the pistols now, with Hats being unable to save. Full rifles out here for Signature. Again, Rolex is very low on money, but they're still winning rounds, and their money will be able to stabilize here. This is a big push coming through, though, and the Molotov stops it for now, but the CTs are still here looking for Genius.
Genius is going to find Hats. Alistair trades it, but Rolex is here for the refrag, and the B site open. Order going to have to rotate someone. That'll be Liaz that moves across. Rolex picks him up straight away, leaving Order with Emag and Sicko. 2v4, and this looks like another round wrapped up for Signature. No kits were purchased for Order at all at the start of this round. Emag will find the head of QQ God, and that might be an AK to pick up for him as well. Could launch something here.
Yeah, looks like he's going to try and do some damage at this point, but you almost want to keep the AK. That said, given that they... Jesus. Given that they saved, the money will be okay, but that was incredibly sharp from Cigarettes, and that's really been the story of this entire T-side so far for Signature. They've been looking really good with these AK-47s, hitting a lot of headshots, and now the money... Yeah, it's double eco territory for Order, so that AK would have been helpful for them. Misread the money situation slightly, but Sicko 0 and 6. That's a big problem for them, given that Sicko is usually such a high-impact fragger for this lineup. Admittedly, we haven't seen him with the AWP yet. The one gun round they had, he got entried, so fair enough. Maybe not too much opportunities for him yet, but hopefully the next gun round he'll be on that big sniper rifle. It's certainly his best weapon. And in the meantime, Signature are going for the full A execute out onto the A bomb site, just playing anti-eco, and all of Order have stacked on the old bomb train.
They certainly have. They're looking to basically pick up the frag once Signature get you on the site. It's the Flying V, my friend.
Oh, yes.
It's the Mighty Duck setup as they wait for Signature to commit. QQ God will be getting the plant.
Well, the thing is, there's no way that Signature are expecting this. So had they peeked into it, then they would have had 5 pistols, and that would have been a kill for Order. But now that the bomb goes down, Order are going to have to spread out and try and do the retake with just pistols. They're not going to get it. At least they can look for damage here. That's the ideal for them. If they can get a kill or two and keep Signature's money honest. There's one. QQ God gets taken down. Not really sure where to look, but this will be stabilized by the rifles here.
Certainly will. Rolex picking up 2, Cigarettes supplementing that with another one, and the T side of Signature will pick up yet another round. This has been huge coming out of them. It's quite the opposite of what I thought perhaps would happen, saying that Order would come screaming out the gates and pull ahead and Signature would have to fight from behind. Looks like it's going to play out the other way.
Yeah, well, for now, I mean, it's the first 6 rounds on T-side, 6-7 rounds that have gone their way. Only 1 for Order so far, so hopefully they can do a little bit better here. Looks like we have a brief pause coming in there, so it's 6-1 is where we're at the moment. Signature looking very good on their T-side. Yeah, it's a tech issue, so hopefully this one won't be too long, but Order now should be going on to a bit of a bye, so that will be good for them. Hopefully they can get Sicko onto the sniper rifle.
Yeah, it would be good to see Sicko on the AWP. As you mentioned, we're waiting for him to really find his groove in this match. Signature have been quite good on the entry, and I think that's been a large problem for Order. Order haven't been able to stop Signature before they're actually getting onto the sites. And they've been playing the retake game the whole way through here. So looking at moving forward, hopefully Order can get Sicko onto the AWP. We can get the gun rounds moving forward. Hopefully they can improve with this.
Yeah, and I mean, Train is certainly a very good map for Order, and we know that, so they've certainly got the players to make it work. So far, I think it's just been the Signature have been catching them out with the aim and the speed. I mean, certainly that first gun round where Order lost 3 players without even getting an answer, and that was mainly just very sharp entries coming out from the T's, peeking out through T mid, coming in through Ivy. So Order, when they get onto this next gun round, which should be happening here, hopefully for them, they'll be able to stabilize, win some of those duels. But it's certainly a good start for Signature, who we were saying we thought the underdog in this matchup, especially on a map like Train, which we know is one of Order's best maps. So,
yeah.
well, better maps. As the desk said, they've got a very deep map pool. So they're comfortable on a lot of maps, but this is not the start they were looking for by any means.
I mean, this looks to be the tale of the best of one starting this weekend. You know, yesterday we had similar with Boot and Greyhound.
Greyhound went down 5-10.
They were, and it was a scrappy match, to say the least. Greyhound, Elfish Guy and I were talking about it during the match, and Greyhound, they looked like the better team consistently throughout it, but they just couldn't get round score converted on the board. This time, it's Signature, who are looking very clean in comparison to how Boot played yesterday. But is this the SEA coming through?
I mean, very possibly. Of course, this is only the opening best of 1 of Group A, or one of the opening best of 1s. Of course, we move into best of 3s after this. So there's still a road yet to be traveled for both of these teams, depending on who wins this matchup. But Signature are certainly starting off the right way, looking quite strong. Looks like we're getting headsets back on, so we should be getting into game very soon.
We are going to throw to a small break here as we just finalise the things at the Season 7 ESL Pro League APAC Finals. Stay tuned, and we'll be back in this game momentarily.
Be focused. Be uncompromising.